Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I just wanted to have a quick discussion with you guys today about sort of what we consider to be a good life, which I know is a pretty generic topic, but I wanted to talk about from a certain perspective. So I think recently, especially, I've kind of been changing the way I've been approaching my day-to-day life, or at least I've been trying to. And normally we wake up and the first thing that we try to think about is, what do we have to be stressed about? Or at least this was how I was living, right? You just wake up and your brain is immediately rushing to think about, okay, what do I need to do? And of course that is like a positive survival instinct in a way, right? Because you get the things that need to be done, you get them out the way. But at the same time, you're kind of living constantly in a hamster wheel, because you're going to constantly be distracted, right? Because the moment you find that time when there's quote unquote nothing to do, you're bored, that's when we kind of feel that void inside. And that's when we really start feeling anxious, right? Many people, they feel very, very disturbed by that. And I think during COVID, during the quarantine, lots of people felt that. And I'm sure there's statistics to back that up, where people, they just had a lot more time on their hands to think and to actually reflect what they're doing with their day-to-day life, because you're just getting older. You're not getting any younger. Time is flying, and another 20 years are going to go by in the same circle. Some days you're going to be really stressed about the things you have to do. Other days you're going to be happy because they're going your way, but you're really not going to be going anywhere in terms of your internal state. And so that's why I think I think a lot of people, that leads a lot of people, including myself and a lot of Muslims, it's going to lead you to this very dark place, because you're just going to wake up every morning and you're going to start feeling a sense of emptiness inside. Like, what am I doing? Every day is literally the same. Sure, the characters in my day-to-day life are changing in terms of the people I'm interacting with, the difficulties and challenges I'm facing, but I'm not getting anywhere, right? Like, I'm just trying to survive, really. And I remember there was a way that it was put where you have an individual, they go to school, right? And they study, they get good grades, they spend majority of their waking hours obviously trying to get better and better grades, climb the educational ladder, as it were. And then eventually you get to, let's say, college age or pre-college age, just before college age, and you're working your butt off just so that you can get into a great college. Okay, so now you finally get into college age, and now you're working your butt off to get a good job. Now you finally get that good job, and you're working your butt off again to climb that corporate ladder. And then again, you're just going to keep working and working hard just so that you can retire. And then when you retire, and I guess this is why people face those midlife crises. Now you're at this point, you're just about to retire, you finally you've run all the races that you've needed to, and now you're finally here. Now you have time to think, okay, so now what? I've always been trying to get somewhere, but the goal of getting there was just so that I can get somewhere else. And so finally, when you get to that point in your life where you have nothing else to chase, it's scary, right? And I think many of us, like when we have like winter vacations, or even the weekends sometimes, honestly, or after exams, you'll feel this like internal like void, like what's going on. And then that's why I think, even for Muslims, I think especially for us, right, we can get caught up in that as well. But if we have the medicine to fix that, then we should be the first of all people to not be falling into that and giving other people that medicine. So what is that medicine? Pretty simple, right? Our hearts, our souls are designed for one thing, right? Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْإِنسَ وَالْجِنَّ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created jinn and human beings except to worship me. That's it. Not saying that that's the only thing you do in your life, but that is the primary and overarching function of your life. So it's not like you finally get to that, you can only get to a stage where you're working towards that when you're 50 or 60. That's from the moment you're like 14, 15, you can start achieving that goal. So your life isn't it's not this unilateral thing that once you get to a certain point in your life you can finally start living. No, from very, very early on you're living your life and you're doing what you need to do. So as a Muslim, honestly, as you get older, you're just getting closer to meeting your Lord. And Allah Azza wa Jalla says in a hadith, or the Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith about Allah, whoever loves to meet Allah, Allah loves to meet them. So if you're looking forward to meeting Allah, then you getting older, every day that passes, you should be getting more and more excited. And I know this is a lot easier said than done, of course. I mean, if it was if it was easily done, if it was easily done, all of us would have already achieved that. But I think there's just a quick reminder to myself and to all of you. Let's try and reset our focus, if you get what I mean, and just make our goal one thing and one thing alone, and that's worshipping Allah, becoming a better slave of Allah, because that's going to actually satisfy that void in your heart. Allah says, "Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub." Verily, with the remembrance of Allah will the hearts find rest. And rest, it doesn't mean happiness, right? The verse is saying you're going to be exceedingly happy and your brain will be full of dopamine. No, that's not necessary. It just means you'll find rest. You'll find comfort. And you can feel comfort even when things in your life are not necessarily going easy, but inside, deep inside, you can feel happy. You'll feel a sense of contentment which nothing else can get you. And I don't want to. I remember this quote. I think it was Andrew Tate. And I'm just going to quote because I think the quote is relevant. But he was saying, happiness or living a life of hedonism, it's a black hole. The more you put into it, it's not really going to affect how deep that hole is. It's just going to get arguably deeper and deeper, right? The more your threshold for happiness, the more you feed it, the higher that threshold is going to be, the more you need to feed it again. And I think even dopamine science and the science nowadays will prove that the more you feed your brain instant dopamine and instant happiness, the harder it's going to be in future times to get that same level of happiness again. You're going to need a lot more. So just some quick thoughts. I know I've gone on a bit, but just some key takeaways. All right, whenever you feel that void inside, remember why you're here. It's not to get the most money in your bank account. It's not to become as fit as possible. I mean, those are all great things, but that's not your ultimate goal, because that's not going to lead to ultimate happiness, right? As Allah says in the Quran, قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ. Say that in the bounty of your Lord, right? And in the Quran, قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ, and in His mercy, فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. In that is what they should rejoice. That's what they should find their happiness. فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا هُوَ خَيْرٌ مِّمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. That is better than anything they could possibly gather in this world. Till next time, Assalamu alaikum.